Perhaps is that someone you? Have you ever wondered, is God still present? Does he care? Is he answering my prayers? I want you to know that you are not alone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to episode number 43. Where is God in all of this? Whew. Many Christians and people in general have struggled with this thing called faith, particularly since March 2020. Faith means something completely different this year. And it seems like a nightmare to think about and really reflect on this year, especially as we come to the close in a couple of months. January, we said Happy New Year, and many of us had high hopes, several plans and desires for 2020. February, some of us celebrated love with Valentine's Day, and then March, boom, we heard the news of a virus that was spreading like wildfire, and it became a pandemic in less than a few weeks. So crazy, right? I mean, you would think I was telling a story of someone else or somewhere else, but nope, this is our story. And even though we have experienced it differently and responded to it differently, it's still our story. I remember the last time I stepped foot in my church. This year, y'all, was March 15th, 2020. Oh my gosh, my Lord. So many of us have had so much to grieving the loss of a thing, the loss of a dream, the loss of what life could be, the loss of loved ones, the loss of, for kids, a summer break, right? The loss of not being able to have those same connections in the classroom. Virtual school will never be the same as in the classroom learning. I'm so thankful that I hold on to the words of Jesus as I think about these times. Jesus is the one who said, in this life you will have many trials, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That is such a comforting message that anchors me, that no matter what I go through, he's with me. And I hope that's something that encourages your heart as well. I'm so thankful that God's promises and knowing that they do not fail, that also anchors me. Earlier I did a podcast on what anchors you. And if you have not listened to that, I really encourage you to go back and listen to that as well. It's so important to know what anchors you, so that particularly when you are experiencing dry seasons in your life or times where you are wondering if God is present, you can remind yourself of his word, which is his will, and his promises. Because guess what? They don't expire. They don't, right? They just don't. They don't expire, y'all. So I have to share a moment really quick before I get further into this episode, because I don't plan to be with you long today, but I have to share just a moment of gratitude. I think I mentioned this before, but I got an opportunity, as you heard me say the last time, to be a guest on the Faith in Practice podcast with Whitney Owens. And the episode went live on October 21st. Oh my goodness. So if you want to listen, you can find it. It's episode number 52. If y'all hear some noise, y'all, please forgive me. I'm taking off this necklace from around my neck. But episode number 52, just feel free to take a listen and post a review. Now, I have to say, I talk so fast, y'all. I'm really trying to slow down. Just please bear with me. I talk fast. I talk really, really fast on the episode, but hopefully you can follow with me. So today, I want to use my anchoring scripture today, and that's going to be from the book of Esther. I love that book. I mean, have you read it? If you haven't, it's a really, really good book. And it's a book where, funny story, God's name is never mentioned, but his fingerprints are all over that book. It's a book about his sovereignty and his deliverance. It's a book about a classic struggle between good and evil. God's name is never mentioned in that book, but his presence is unmistakable. It's a book where you see that God remembers his promises to Israel and orchestrates events and details to protect his people. How many of you want the fingerprints of God on your life? Like dots connecting. Things keep happening, and when you take a good look, you notice that God is in the details of my life. That is an anchoring message for me. I just love that. I just encourage my own self. I want to be able to know that when I look at things, in fact, I know that I can look at several things in my life and know that God's fingerprints were all over that. Were all over that. I could think about so many instances in my life, even this year specifically,